Rebecca, first of all, huge congratulations on this achievement. What was it like when you first got the news that you would be refereeing in the EFL?
Yeah, it was a shock. So I was on the way back from a game and got a phone call from Mike Jones, and my initial response was, "Oh, what have I done?" when I seen his name pop up on the screen. But yeah, really excited. It's what I've been working towards. So to be given this opportunity to go out in the Football League is amazing for me, and hopefully a good stepping stone to the next part of my career.
Yeah, and obviously you become a trailblazer by doing this, the first female referee to do so in the EFL. How proud a moment is that for you, and how aware are you of the sort of the trailblazer element of it?
Yeah, I think initially I wasn't really aware of it. I would just, obviously I've been given the appointment and I was over the moon. And then when you kind of reflect on it and you think, you're the first woman to ever do this. So yeah, extremely proud, my family are extremely proud. But I do think it's important that it shows that women who are in the top 1% of their category can then proceed to the next level. So it definitely makes other people look who are further down the pyramid and think, if Rebecca can achieve that, then so can I. So I think it's really important that we highlight it as a really good opportunity for young girls who maybe thinking about taking up the whistle or are already referees and they aspire to be a Football League referee or even a Premier League referee, that they see people like myself operating in the EFL, also see people like Sean who operates at the Premier League week in, week out.
How proud are you of the fact that you are doing that though personally yourself as well, and how you're taking that in terms of your progression, the fact that you know that you are that person who is being the first to do something of such significance?
Yeah, I'm extremely proud. I think my journey as a referee started off not having any aspirations to me to be sat here now with yourself doing this interview. Definitely not. And it seems like the last 10 years I've put a lot of hard work and commitment in, and I've reaped the rewards by getting promoted. But yeah, I never seen myself as a trailblazer probably until the last year, where I've really started to accept it, because I think it's important that people in my position who are fortunate to be in a position that I am really show other people that this can be done.
I mean, you touched on your journey just previously there, but just tell us more specifically about how you've progressed to this point.
Yeah, so I got into refereeing through a really good friend of mine who was a referee and didn't really understand why anybody would want to take that route. But yeah, I took the leap, done the course, and it seems to be like a blur over the last 10 years, that there have been challenges. Refereeing can have, like any job, it has its bad days, but the good days certainly outweigh the bad. And it's just one of them professions where you've got to be open to learning and developing, because we do make mistakes. But you've got to be the type of person who can accept these mistakes and learn from them and move on. And that's probably what's been my biggest progression through my career in order to progress. If we do everything right, we don't learn. So it's paramount that we develop as match officials and move forward. And yeah, my journey through promotion has been a whirlwind over the past 10 years. And I feel like I've gone quite quick. See a lot of commitment. So I was working for the NHS up until 2 years ago when I decided to take a career break, because I wanted to focus fully on football and put that full commitment into it. I didn't want to be sat there in 10 years after I retire saying, if I'd put full commitment into it, this could have happened. So I took that opportunity to do that 2 years ago. Had great support from the NHS, working for them for 17 years. And hopefully when I do retire, then I will return back to the normal day job, because I loved it. And like I said, if it hadn't been for an employer as good as them, then I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
What did you do for the NHS, if you don't mind me asking?
I worked it was the NHS BSA, so they did all the reimbursement of the prescriptions. So I went there from doing my A-levels, and I was there for 17 years and loved every minute of it.
I think a lot of people don't realise what's involved to getting to this point of being a referee as well, and the training that's involved. I mean, I've seen SG2 referees and what they go through in terms of their training sessions. Just tell us how difficult it is to get to this level in terms of the skill and dedication that's required.
Yeah, you definitely need that, and I think you definitely need a drive, because if the drive's not there, then it'll get to the time where you've gone out and you've worked a full day at work, and then 5 o'clock you've then got to think, right, now I've got to do a training session for that day. So yeah, you've definitely got to have the drive, the determination, the commitment to do it. And it's not easy. It's not an easy job, not just on the field but off the field. All the all the responsibilities you have. So, you know, you're training, you've got to train every day. For me, I've got to eat right, and I need to ensure that I eat right, because if I eat right, then, you know, I look like an athlete when I go out. You know, we go out in the Women's Super League, we go out in the National League, we go out internationally, and players now all look like athletes. So as the referees, we need to mirror that, and we need to look like that. And the training we do helps with that. You know, we train like the professional footballers train. A little bit harder because you're on your own doing it. But yeah, it is a massive commitment, and one that I worked full time alongside refereeing for about 8 years. And then again, I made the decision to take a career break 2 years ago, which has massively helped with my preparation for games, my recovery for games, just giving me that little bit more of a work-life balance, whereas before it was work, refereeing, and that was on repeat. Whereas now, because I've got that flexibility, it gives me a little bit of time to have a little bit more of a life outside of football.
We talked about you being a trailblazer shortly ago, but unfortunately nowadays that also puts a spotlight on you, and social media gives people a platform to write some disgusting, you know, online abuse on. Is that something that you're wary of, and how do you deal with the extra scrutiny that can bring?
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make there, and social media can be a really good and positive platform if it's used in the right way. But I think we've seen recently that it's not used in the right way. I fell foul of it when I first especially on the Women's Super League. I used to go in after every game and look on social media for myself and search. And, you know, I had to stop doing that, because mentally that's not good for me as a person, you know, regardless of what job I do. I think we need to understand that sometimes you're not going to control what people think and what people feel about certain performances, and that's their opinion. If they choose to voice them, then there's very little we can do about it. We need to look at social media governance and how they governance that. And I'm not just talking around criticism of referees. You know, I'm talking about people going online and using it as a platform to give racial abuse against people, or, you know, to be homophobic. So there's all that which definitely needs looked at. But yeah, for me, I stay off it. I don't go in and I don't read. You know, I'm my own biggest critic. So after a game, I'll sit down, I'll look at a game, and I'll critique it myself. So, you know, I do that already. I don't need to look at what other people say about us. I'm quite good at going in and picking out my faults and learning and improving from them.
In terms of, you know, coming back to the match itself that's coming up, refereeing at Harrogate, I understand, is somewhere you've refereed before, so some familiarities there as well. Is that useful going into your first game, knowing, you know, what you're going to be dealing with in a way?
I think it is and it isn't. I think, as any referee will tell you, it doesn't matter whether you're refereeing a cup final or you're refereeing an academy game on a Saturday morning for under 18s. As soon as you step out of that grade stuff and you blow that whistle, you could be anywhere. So you go so focused into it's blues against whites or it's reds against greens that you just go in and you focus on getting every single decision right. So yes, I've been at Harrogate a few times, so I know the ground. But yeah, as soon as I go out there and blow the whistle, for me it's just a game of football, and I'll prepare for it and deliver it the same way as I've done every game since I qualified.
Is there a difference though, refereeing men's and women's football? Because you've obviously done both, and do you prepare differently maybe for both, or is it the same process?
I don't prepare differently. Yeah, I prepare the same for both of them. You know, you do your research on the players, you look at how they're set up on corners, you know, set pieces. But I guess there is a difference between the two. You know, the men's game is a lot faster, and, you know, I think everyone comes out and says that. You know, I would argue the women are a little bit more skillful. But yeah, just different personalities. You know, male and female are very different personalities on the field of play, very different personalities in life. So, you know, it does have its differences, and you've got to adapt as a referee between the two. So yeah, but preparation-wise, yeah, I give each league, whether that's the National League or the Women's Super League, the same respect, and just prepare for them equally the same. I
know you've also touched on this in one of your previous answers, but who would you say your role models are? As you mentioned, Sian Massielis is someone who springs to mind in this country.
Yeah, I think it was a difficult question, and I think that was when I kind of started thinking, you know, I am a bit of a trailblazer, because when I was younger, if somebody had asked me who was my role model female in sport, like, it was really difficult because, you know, I'm 37, so back then there wasn't really that many, whereas now I think we're seeing a lot more female role models in all sports who are coming through and role models for young girls. So yeah, you know, we've definitely got Sian Massey, and, you know, obviously I look up at Sian Massey. We've got Natalie in the championship, and Helen and Lisa in the EFL. So yeah, we've definitely got role models and trailblazers here. You look at Stephanie Frappart, who's at the weekend has refereed a World Cup qualifier, you know, so Stephanie's definitely paving the way on the European scene for young girls to think, you know, not just domestically I can achieve that, but also on the international stage, which I think is really important.
And finally, like you mentioned, you've refereed in the National League and at Wembley as well. Where will this achievement rank in your career so far, do you think?
Yeah, it's going to rank up there at the top. You know, I've refereed at Wembley in the women's game, and I'm grateful for every time I've spent at Wembley, and that will always be 2017 Women's FA Cup final will always be the top highlight. But, you know, it's good to achieve things in both the men's game and the women's game. So yeah, this is walking out in the EFL next Monday is going to be top of the achievements I've done in the men's game so far.